Good afternoon. My name is Miller Beard, and it is my great privilege to be the principal at Red Oak High School. And I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, but first I kind of just want to say a few words to the seniors, graduating class of 2019. It was 28 years ago that I was sitting where you were. I was going through the same things. I was excited. When I was 18 at that time, I couldn't wait to hit the road to Lubbock, to head to Tech, to be on my own. At that time, I knew everything. I was super smart. I was ready. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved my parents, but I couldn't for the life of me understand why they did some of the things they did, why they made me do some of the things. I mean, it didn't make sense. And to me, I had it all figured out. And so it wasn't very long, it was a couple of years later, or even when I was graduating, when I realized just how smart. They were the smartest people in the world. So some of the things that they imparted on me or told me didn't necessarily resonate or didn't until I put them in, applied them when I was on my own. So I just have a couple of things. There's literally thousands of things I could share with you, but I just got 3 things that I want to tell you seniors that if you could learn to do these things, or if you could take the time to do these things, college and the rest of your life will be it'll be a fun journey. The first thing that I would encourage you guys as you kind of out of the nest and on your own is to be open-minded, but never betray your core beliefs. And you might have heard some variants of that, but when I mean your core beliefs, if you're not sure exactly what your core beliefs are, take some time to reflect on how you act when no one sees you, when no one knows what you're doing, how you react to different circumstances, to different stressful circumstances, how you treat others. What are the core things that you believe? Be open-minded to others, but never betray your core beliefs. The second thing I would want you to do, and this is the time to do it, is find out what you're passionate about. So the next 4, 5 years, it's never too late. Find out what you're passionate about, what you would do, whether you got paid to do it or not. So a little bit about me, I had no idea what I wanted to do for a living. When I went off to Tech, I just knew that was the next step. I knew college. I'd just been told from a young age that was the next step. And so I proceeded I did business administration. That's what my dad told me to do. And so I went into business. And for 2.5 years, I made terrible grades. I received letters from Tech telling me that if you continue this path, we will have to part ways. I did not do well in my accounting, in my classes. I wasn't having fun. And then I got a letter from my dad. He had terrible handwriting, but he was on yellow, legal, and he had mailed it, several pages long, took a lot of time. But the main gist of it was, Miller, start looking at what you do, what you're doing, what's your part-time job, what is it you like to do, start analyzing what are you passionate about. And so I started, I teach swim lessons, I worked in a daycare, I work with my cousins, I participate in Big Brothers. I was doing a lot of things with children, with young people. And so I switched my major, and all of a sudden my grades improved, I enjoyed school better, and I graduated Texas Tech. So long story short, too late, find your passion, because life is too short, and it's not all about making money, but it is about affecting others' lives and developing relationships. And then the last thing that I would want you guys to do is to be present, to be in the moment, to not worry so much about the future, but to really, really enjoy the moment. I have a junior, he's about to be a senior son. He's 17, and I tell you what, I know in your life, probably up to this point, life has kind of been slow, maybe. It's kind of been very gradual. Like, when you're younger, when is Christmas going to get here? Or when am I going to get to be 16? I'm going to be able to drive. Or when is 18 going to arrive? When I can graduate? And so these milestones, it's been slow. But I guarantee you, for your parents, it's been like that. I mean, the older you get, it seems like life speeds by quickly. And so I would encourage you to live in the moment, to enjoy this time, to celebrate this time, not be so worried about the future or your plans for tomorrow or next week or next year. No, those are important, but really, really enjoy your time here and live every moment like it's your last. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce our guest speaker today, Mr. Ray Honeycutt. He is a Red Oak High School alum, salutatorian. Lily and Drew, you've got some big shoes to fill. I've already heard about his speech back in 1990 at the graduation. It was legendary, so you've got some big shoes to fill. He is a Longhorn. He graduated from the University of Texas at Austin with a Bachelor of Science degree in Aerospace Engineering in 1995. He's 24 years of engineering and leadership experience while working for Leidos, including over 22 years working at the NASA Johnson Space Center, supporting the Space Shuttle, International Space Station, and commercial crew programs. He's held a number of roles with increasing responsibility in software development, systems engineering, cybersecurity, project management, business development, and management. He has supported a wide variety of government programs, including National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, Department of Defense, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Drug Enforcement Agency, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and National Science Foundation. He has received the NASA Spaceflight Awareness Management Award in 2014 for excellent management leadership during the major development efforts to upgrade and modernize the Mission Control Center systems and training system for the 21st century. So please help me welcome Ray Honeycutt.
What a great introduction. All right, first of all, thank you for having me here and the opportunity to address such a great group of graduates, and the most recent graduates of Red Oak High School. When I was originally asked to give this speech, my first thought was what an honor it would be to go back where I graduated high school and have such a captive audience. I'm thinking you guys really aren't going to get up out of your seats in your cap and gown and just walk out in the middle of my speech. So I could really say just about anything I want. But then reality set in, and I thought, you know, why me? Why do you want to hear from me? What can I pass on to you guys? So I reflected back, you know, growing up in Red Oak, and back then I fit into a statistical category that really indicated I would not be successful. You know, I was raised by a single mom who had not finished high school. My dad was addicted to drugs and alcohol and left when I was in junior high. My mom always worked hard, and I definitely got my strong work ethic from her. And we grew up in a house with a lot of love, but definitely not a lot of money. And not that you need money. And we always had food to eat, but you didn't always have things like a telephone. So it wasn't easy growing up, but I also don't think it's easy growing up for anyone, no matter the circumstances. And I'm just giving you that bit of background, just so you know that I'm just a regular person. But what I had was I had a plan, and I worked hard to achieve my goals. And you'll notice I said goals and not dreams. There was a famous businessman who once said, a dream is just a dream, but a goal is a dream with a plan and a deadline. And I always like that saying because it shows that you can turn your dreams into reality as long as you work hard. So I promise you the most special thing about me, other than my family, is just I'm very persistent and I'm a really hard worker. So after some time, I convinced myself that my message is something that you should hear. And you know, who knows, maybe some of you will listen to it, take it to heart, and become inspired. So just the way Dr. Beard was saying, I attended Red Oak High School, or Red Oak schools, from 1977 to 1990. So that's kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. And it was a long time ago. The schools look much different, a lot larger now. I mean, they're hard for me to even recognize. And part of the time I was in high school, I was working at Burger King all the way up in the DeSoto, Lancaster area because there was nothing in Red Oak. A lot different than it is now. I would work there sometimes till 2 a.m. on a school night, getting home late. But I always knew that I had to be up for school that next day. And even getting to school at 7 a.m. for marching band practice, or staying up late the night before after work cramming for a test or working on a project. But I didn't mind it because good things aren't always easy, and it was worth working for. And I had so many great teachers all through high school, really all through school in general. And some of them are actually in the audience today, and it really just feels amazing, seeing them, even though it is a lot of years later. They still look the same to me. I look a lot older, I think. But you work with teachers, and it's amazing what they're able to give to you. And I can honestly tell you that I enjoyed my entire time in the school district, and I'm proud to be from Red Oak. In addition to meeting the love of my life and being my high school sweetheart, I left knowing that I made the most of my educational opportunities here at Red Oak High School. After high school, I went off to college at the University of Texas at Austin, where I graduated aerospace engineering degree. And that means I finished college well before any of you graduates were even born. After college, headed off working for NASA, supporting shuttle and space station programs, and I absolutely love my job. It's an exciting time in NASA right now. If you haven't heard, we're working on the next generation of vehicles that are going to take us back to the moon and onto Mars. It's really great to be part of. So you heard little hints about it, this previous speech that I gave back in 1990. And so in full disclosure, I'm not a rookie at giving graduation speeches, but that was the only other one I've ever given, and it was 29 years ago. But just like he said, he actually stole my word. It was legendary, or so they say. When people talk about it, they say it was the greatest speech ever. And luckily, we didn't have camera phones or social media back then. And I think I actually may have the only remaining VHS tape copy of the speech, and it's in safekeeping, so no one can ever dispute my claims. So, all of you are about to be high school graduates, and that's definitely something to be proud of, and it's a big milestone in your life. But even more than a milestone, it's a crossroads. And I know that can be scary because you're going to be faced with some difficult choices about what direction you go. And these are decisions that are going to set the stage for what you do, at least in this next phase of your life, if not for, the rest of your life. And it's not easy for someone your age. I remember being 17, 18 years old, and it's difficult. And I'm sure you're getting lots of advice from or maybe direction from your parents or siblings and family, friends, teachers, and counselors. I know I did. And while I had a lot of people who supported me no matter what, I also had people telling me about where I should go to college, and it wasn't where I wanted to go, and that I wasn't making the right decision, and I probably wouldn't even make it because you're not cut out for that. But I knew going off to the University of Texas was the right choice for me. It may not have been the right choice for others, but it was right for me. So what I want you to understand is that you do have options. Even if you think you don't have options, you really do. It's just up to you to how to decide to prepare yourself for that next phase. So going off to college was a big leap of faith for me. My mom definitely didn't have the money. I'd never lived in a big city like Austin. I'd never been out on my own. I had a neighbor who told me, you'll never make it. And I had a car I paid $425 for that I wasn't even for sure would make the drive down to Austin. So the car did make it there. Well, most of the time. There were a couple times it didn't make it all the way there, but we'll save that for another story. College was great. While I was at college, I even decided to change my name from Raymond to Ray. And I cut off my long hair. So now if the phone rings and the person on the other end asks for Raymond, I know it's either a telemarketer, someone I knew from high school, or my mom. And I'm definitely going to take one of those calls. The other two, it depends. Love you, Mom. When considering your options, what I would tell you is invest in yourself. Now, you may wonder what I mean by invest. So I'm not talking about setting up your retirement account or your 401k, and while those are important, what I want to tell you is that, some of you are going to attend college, others will learn a trade, some of you may immediately join the workforce, and others may join the military. Regardless of the path you take, I encourage you to make yourself the most valuable and the best version of yourself that you can be. So it's almost never easy, and I know it's scary at times, but don't be afraid to invest in yourself. If you have to take out student loans to pay for college, just consider that like a blue chip stock that you're buying, and it's only going to increase in value over time. And you're going to get a positive return in investment on that as long as you use the money wisely. Have confidence in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, don't ask me or someone else to. So it's not easy, and you may stumble and make mistakes along the way. I definitely did. But the difference between failure and success can be just trying that one more time. So let me tell you a little story about myself. And I don't know if I've even told my mom this story, but back my freshman year of college, actually the very first semester, I got a C in the Introduction to Aerospace class. So remember, aerospace engineering was my major, so you really should not receive a C in the introduction class the very first semester you're going. This was the professor's way of telling me, first of all, you need to show up on time for my 8 a.m. class, but second of all, you really need to drastically improve or find something else to do. And not that there's anything wrong with changing your major, that's perfectly fine, but that wasn't part of my plan. It wasn't something I wanted to do. So I've now decided that this was a challenge, and I wanted to hit that challenge head on. So fast forward 29 years, I'm now the chief engineer responsible for information technology at all the NASA centers across the U.S. And in a weird way, I actually owe a big thank you to Mr. Richard Drury, who taught that 8 a.m. class my freshman year, for challenging me to actually be better. I missed an opportunity to learn everything I should from him, but I chose not to regret it or dwell on it. I chose to learn from it. And one of the things I learned, don't sign up for those 8 a.m. classes unless you just have to. But more importantly, I learned life isn't easy, and I needed to step up my game. Now I have 2 amazing kids in college, and I'm so happy that they're able to take advantages of opportunities that I didn't necessarily know about. My youngest is wrapping up his freshman year at the University of Texas, following in his dad's footsteps, actually in more ways than one, because he also got a C his first semester. My oldest, who's in the audience today, he already graduated from Texas A&M back in 2017. And he just finished his first year of law school at George Washington University in DC. So I could not be more proud of them. And I'm telling you this because at your age, again, I didn't know about all the options, and it was my job to make sure my kids knew the options. And I want you to know that you have options and amazing opportunities available to you out there, as long as you develop a plan and work hard towards it. So it's an exciting time ahead of you, and it's up to you to make the most of it. It can be intimidating to take out student loans or go in a different direction from your friends. I know it's scary to leave the only town, maybe the only house you've ever even known. You may go somewhere, big city, small city, wherever, and feel like you don't belong, or you don't fit in, or you're not worthy. But I'm here to tell you that you do belong, and you are worthy. Whether you're valedictorian of your class, or bringing up the rear, or somewhere in the middle, all of you are off to a fresh start once you finish high school. The future depends on what we do in the present, not the past. And every one of us is a work in progress. So remember that each and every one of you is special. And you have this amazing journey ahead of you. You deserve whatever you are willing to work for, and you can accomplish your goals with hard work. If you don't remember anything else I've said, I want you to remember that you are the best investment that you will ever make. And after you graduate high school and you move on to this next phase, if you decide you want to change your name like I did, or cut off your long hair, feel free, go for it. But just remember that the hair doesn't always grow back. So thank you. I wish all of you the best of luck. Go Hawks and hook 'em horns.